All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Talk About It Live with Frank and Manny. Good morning, there, brother.
Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you too, man. Especially with this rain, right? Kind of having to part the waters to get over here this morning to the studio, man.
It's been a while. It's been a while since we've been in the studio, and I had to row my boat. As usual, Del Rio citizens know exactly what I'm talking about. Avenue F, Veterans Boulevard, turns into a river. Everybody has to go into the middle lanes.
Yeah.
Pathetic, bro. Been talking about that for 20-something years. And, of course, I saw people fording the river over at Buena Vista Park by Fred Sheds, where they have to cross that low water crossing. They need to put some kind of a drainage and a bridge in there. It was kind of crazy. They were actually talking about putting a dam in there at one point, which would have backed up water into Buena Vista Park there. But anyways.
Yeah, well, we made it over here, thankfully, and alive and well and ready for this morning because we do have a lot to talk about. There's been so much going on. It seems like every single day it's just something new. And I don't want to say that I'm not surprised, but every time I turn on the news or go on social media, I'm surprised, bro. It's just amazing to me what's happening in this country, and especially, last week I talked about that we must continue to keep this border invasion at the forefront and in the face of our listeners and our viewers, and even in the community, so that it doesn't become normalized like we're seeing. I mean, I've seen more buses now. There's the parking lot at the mall. There's a whole bunch of buses now. I've seen overflow at other hotels where there's more buses, and I'm thinking to myself, this town is not over like 40,000 people, and yet I've never seen these buses before coming down here to take veterans to like their medical appointments at the VA, to come and take children on like field trips or hospital visits or anything like that. But yet we have these thousands of illegal aliens coming through every single day, Frank, and our tax dollars are going towards their transportation and the furtherance of their illegal entry into the United States. Yeah.
And so it's crazy, man, because look, the federal government is financing funding this invasion, bro, and they're doing it on our backs. They're doing it with our tax dollars, and they are mortgaging our children's future, the future of this country. We're already broke as a country, and so it's just going to make it worse. They're printing money. Inflation's crazy, and it's the local entities that are having to carry that load. And what I mean by the local entities are the state, county, city. And really more so the city and county, but of course the state's throwing money at it. Been out there filming, showing National Guard, DPS, just picking people up, gathering people, turning them over to the feds, and of course Mayorkas, Biden releasing them into the country. And so this morning I had an opportunity on the Trey Ware show, AM 550 out of San Antonio, to mention that what happens on the border, bro, is impacting them over there. It's hitting them in town, in San Antonio. I was over there a couple of days ago filming at the 7000 San Pedro facility. It's a cage in San Pedro down there, right by North Star Mall, showing all these people just milling around and talking with them. Manny, a lot of them, they're coming over here for the economic reasons. They're coming over here because they think that they're going to make money in America. And, of course, I had conversations with some of them telling them, hey, the very socialism, the very, busted up, broken system that you are escaping, trying to get away from. And so many of them are not in the refugee status. Man.
Yeah, and they're not. And these NGOs that are here, especially like the one here in Del Rio, are good friends with the Valverde Humanitarian Border Coalition. I say that sarcastically, but not many of the illegal aliens that we've talked to over there. I mean, they're under the impression, brother, that the Biden administration has invited them over here to take care of them, to provide for them. Yeah. And sadly, there are people who think that they are providing a service to these illegal aliens and helping them make a better way of life, folks. Again, we say it over and over again. I served 25 years in the patrol. Frank served 30 years in the patrol, and this is nothing but a smuggling organization. What we're seeing here, this is organized smuggling, done by the Biden administration, involving local non-governmental organizations. Yeah. Frank, the other day when I passed by the mall and was looking at the number of buses increasing, to me, it looked like a staging area. I remember we used to stake out staging areas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Looking for vehicles that were going and parking in certain areas. We used to drive around town, looking for staging areas and vehicles out of state, right? That were staging it to go later on and pick up illegal aliens, and then we would follow them to their stash houses, right? They would load up and then they would take off. And it's the same thing. When somebody has to make the arrangements, right, in the other countries to get over here to make the cross, and they have to have a staging area, and then somebody has to make arrangements for them once they get here to put them in a stash house, and then make arrangements for them to further their entry into the United States. And this is exactly what is happening here in Del Rio and the other border cities, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what you can see over in San Antonio. And to close the loop on that comment earlier was that I'm telling them, hey, the Biden administration is trying to turn our country into what you're getting out of. So you're really not escaping the clutches of socialism. And look, the border is important, but folks, this is a bigger war. It is part of the globalist socialist agenda. It's part of a one world order fight to destroy our country or eradicate it as we know it, change it forever. And so this is just a prong of this asymmetrical warfare that they are waging on our freedoms, our Constitution, our godly foundation as a Christian nation. This is what's going on. It's a part of it. And so in San Antonio, Manny, talking about the local impact, firefighters and policemen are over there, not on volunteer basis. They're not, who goes to volunteer to go work in full uniform, with the full liability of that on, they're being routed to go work at this center at 7,000 San Pedro, and that's tax dollars in this case for the San Antonio residents, but it's impacting them like it's been impacting our communities here up and down this border. Yeah, there's always been, since we enacted immigration laws, naturalization laws, there's been violations of that.
Yeah, but it was sustainable.
It was sustainable, and not at the extent just the outright brazenness, outright blatant invasion aspect of what's happening on the border. And I was asked at a town hall somewhere, well, why do you say invasion? Define invasion. An invasion is an unwanted element into a corporate, an entity, an organism, an organization. You can have an invasion of locusts, an invasion in your body of malignant cells or whatever.
Yeah.
And so in this case, an invasion is an unwanted migration of people.
Yeah.
And it's not wanted by the American citizens. It's not wanted even by folks, Manny, that naturalized, that went through the orderly process. They don't want this. They don't like it. They don't appreciate it. And they look very unfavorably on the people that are misusing our goodwill. Yep. And they're misusing our system, abusing our sovereignty, disregarding our sovereignty. Even naturalized, immigrated citizens don't like that.
It's amazing, Frank. The majority of people that I talk to, especially in regards to naturalized citizens, I think almost over 90% of naturalized citizens that I speak to are completely against what's happening here at the border. I talk to, American citizens, natural born American citizens, and of course a lot of it's 50-50, we should be helping these people, and we should be doing all we can for these people because they're trying to come over here and make a better way of life. And then I start explaining to them what happens once they get over here or what it takes to get over here. Folks, I've said it over and over again, illegal immigration does not benefit anyone, especially the illegal alien. Yeah. Especially the illegal alien. Folks, Frank and I are not against immigration. We are against illegal immigration. And the reason we're against illegal immigration is because it not only does it damage our country and our way of life, but it's also inhumane to the illegal alien that is coming over here because the majority are going to remain indentured servants for the majority of their lives while they're living here.
It's lawlessness, bro. I mean, it's lawlessness. It's encouraging, violations of law by this administration and complicit candidates. Complicit politicians. People who are in a position of responsibility are actually aiding and abetting this invasion. Somebody here said, there's a couple of things here definitely we need to touch upon, man. And one of them is the FBI situation. Look, what happened in Mar-a-Lago should terrify you folks, because if they can do it to a president, they can do it to you. And it has nothing to do with Trump. It could be any other president. What I'm talking about is the abuses of power by this organization. But specifically, Manny, the FBI has become a very politicized organization, and it is so dangerous. Weaponized. It's very dangerous when you have an organization, an entity of the United States government that has broad and very powerful investigative authority, for them to be, targeting people. It's much like the IRS, targeting conservative Christian organizations during the Obama years, and even so, it's still going on. That's why these 87,000 IRS special agents, the FBI, certain FBI agents' actions definitely must be scrutinized. Somebody said, well, what's Frank going to do about it if he goes to Congress? Well, I've said it. We have to, first of all, defund the invasion. Stop throwing money at the federal money, at the infrastructure that's only building more processing centers, that's only dishing out more money for these contracts to these non-government organizations. We have to defund that. Well, what are we going to do with the people? Hey, return them to Mexico. Return, get them out of the country. And then if we held, 15,000 people under the bridge, hey, we can hold more. But the message has to be strong. It has to be clear. You are not going to come into our country illegally. And the same message, aside from defund the invasion, we have to look at the size of government, specifically the growing, encroaching, abusive power of organizations, agencies that take the authority that's been given to them by our Constitution, by we the American people, and are misusing it. And so definitely the FBI needs to be looked at. There was some news today about allegedly the FBI agent that initiated this warrant on President Trump. Basically was escorted out of the FBI building. He resigned. He walked out. He was fired. Whatever they're going to cover it up with.
Well, look at the judge. The judge was that signed the affidavit has ties to Epstein. And
I think he donated to Obama or something.
I think he donated to Obama. Yeah, it's all political. It is. And real quick, I actually downloaded the affidavit that was released by the FBI, and it's hilarious. It's sad, but hilarious. And I'll show you why. Here, up above all this that I'm going to show you here, it's talking about the reasons why, what laws were supposedly violated, what laws they're going to enforce, and then they released the information of what they were looking at and what they recovered. And here you go, folks. There you go. I don't know if you can read all that. I'm being sarcastic. For those who are listening on audio, it's all blacked out. Right? It's all supposedly highlighted, and so here we go. And there's some more points there of what they were, covering, and then here we go. Boxes containing were transported, and according to some things here, moving trucks Mar-a-Lago, these two moving trucks observed, and this is what happened. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, this is completely ridiculous. This is the affidavit that was released publicly the other day by the FBI to assure citizens that they have nothing to worry about, really.
Yeah.
But Frank, it's completely obvious that this administration has weaponized the FBI, and I've been telling people over and over again that say, well, yeah, but I mean, Trump had these, documents. He declassified, and I'm not going to get into the weeds of it, but he declassified many documents. We look at how come there was no raid on Hillary Clinton, who had, over 33,000 emails deleted, servers destroyed, cell phones destroyed. She had all kinds of secret emails going to her residence, yet nothing was done. We look at Hunter Biden, nothing's happened to him. We even look at Obama. Obama had documents after he left as well. And the Clintons even took furniture from the White House.
Paintings, deep runs of hypocrisy is what Yoda would say. But So to answer that question, Junior Nana, as far as the FBI, look, they need to be looked at. We need to hold them accountable. And the thing that we've got to remember, Manny, and if I'm elected to Congress, is that I am there as a representative for the people. Therefore, I am a watchdog for the people.
Amen.
And so Congress itself needs to be looked at. These agencies need to be looked at. They need to be held accountable. The people's representatives need to walk the hallways of these buildings, not to go over there and make friends, not to go freaking, scratch each other's backs, but to hold them accountable, let them know that a people's champion, a people's representative is going to walk those halls, is going to ask questions. And something I would say as well, what am I going to do about it? I will encourage whistleblower activity. We must give our agents, our officials, our employees within these organizations, they need to be confident in the whistleblower capability, that process whereby good citizens, constitutionally minded citizens that work within the ranks of these organizations, and yes, folks, there still are some, they need to know that there is a process where they can go report fraud, waste, abuse, corruption, and it's usually through the whistleblower process, the Office of Special Counsel and Inspector Generals, etc. And so that's what I would do. I would encourage these people, employees, to utilize that to blow the whistle on corrupt operations, on corrupt activities within the organization.
And we should always have the right. Especially since we're the ones who elected these people, into office, we should always have the right and the authority as American citizens to question what they are doing.
Yes.
I'm a congregational leader, here in a local synagogue here in Del Rio, and I, even though I'm the senior rabbi, I've told you this over and over again, and I think I hope that every religious leader does this. But if congregants want to question anything that we're doing, they have the right to do so.
Yes, and look, bro, the last thing they want to see is any kind of accountability aspect. And so, look, that's why I'm saying I'll go walk those halls. But look, I cannot let this comment go by. Hey, Vicky Lynn, look, God bless you, but you're saying to save this country, vote straight red. Please think about what you are saying. I am running as an independent against a red candidate, a Republican candidate, who is a liberal infiltrator in the Republican Party. He is a George Soros LULAC puppet that's been inserted into this district for such a time as this, which was to aid and abet the Biden administration, to aid and abet, help facilitate this invasion with Alejandro Mayorkas. So it's that kind of a slogan, mantra: keep Texas red, vote red. Look, folks, we got to think about what we are saying.
We got to go beyond party lines.
Beyond party lines, when there's principle at play here, when principle over party, patriotism over party preservation comes into play, specifically in my situation where I'm running against a Republican rhino, then the vote straight red, mantra needs to be, you just need to watch what you're saying with that per se.
It needs to be re-examined.
Yeah, it needs to be re-examined, and it needs to be qualified. But hey, look, it's not a slam. I'm just using this opportunity because I hear that all the time, Manny. Well, what about the vote that's going to get split? So in other words, you're going to vote for one of the two Democrats in this race.
Yeah.
You're going to hurt the Republican. Hey, but the Republican is a freaking Democrat that has infiltrated the party.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, yesterday, as a matter of fact. There's been a lifelong Republicans always voted Republican, live by the mantra, vote Republican, vote red. But it has actually vetted Tony Gonzalez, the candidate, the congressman that's over here in our district, and the same should go. I've talked to people over there in Dan Crenshaw's district as well, that lifelong Republicans that, voted red. They kept to the mantra, kept to Ronald Reagan's 11th commandment, but they vetted Dan Crenshaw. And not only have they vetted him, but they've seen his actions, and they've seen what he's doing, his voting record, all the things that he's done. And they're basically like, they're Democrats. They're Democrats in Republican clothing, and people have asked my friends, what about if you vote for Frank, you're going to split the vote? And they're like, you have a Democrat now already.
And worse than Democrat, Manny. Look, bro, they're socialists. They're globalists. They are open borders. The Democrat running in this 23rd congressional district is openly pro-amnesty. He's openly pro-abortion. He's openly pro-gun control. That's the Democrat.
His two-state resolution with Israel.
And the so-called Republican voted for red flag gun control. The so-called Republican voted for the furtherance of socialist policy, socialist ideology, and really ungodly, demonic ideology when he voted for marriage equality, bro. But that's also a constitutional issue. These are constitutional issues.
And let's not forget that he immediately betrayed President Trump by voting for the January 6th Commission, which not only, folks, it's not, that doesn't would only affect President Trump, it affects you and I, every citizen.
The 400 or so American citizens that are in prison right now, they're in jail right now without due process, in violation of the Constitution, in violation of so many amendments of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. And so, folks, look, we've got, as we go into election season here, November 8th, Tuesday, November 8th, remember in November, fire Transporter Tony, fire Tony the traitor. As we go into that season, you need to vote your candidates. Do not just at the surface say, you're going to vote just straight ticket red. And look, unfortunately, Manny, for a lot of people, they have no choice, dude. It's either sit it out, don't vote, undervote, write in, as some people are talking about, vote for the Democrat if he's a better person. That's what some people are saying. I'm not advocating any of that. What I'm saying is it is a sad situation when people have no choice. And that's why I decided to run as an independent, because I had to give you, my family, my friends and neighbors here in Texas, a true choice. And so people just need to wake up. They need to realize that this is a good versus evil fight, and there are globalists, basically socialists in the Republican Party that are pushing the agendas like the indoctrination of our children, distorting, destroying the image of God as He created them. And so there's a lot of stuff happening.
And let's not forget, Frank. Let's not forget that. Let's not forget that two counties, Republican GOPs, Pecos and Medina County, have censored Tony Gonzalez.
They censored Tony Gonzalez. There's more waiting in the wings. I hear there's others that are contemplating it, prepared to vote on it.
Bexar County considered it. They went, but sadly,
but that's still up. Look, there's been media propaganda about that as well, saying, the globalist in 23 survived the censure. It's not over yet. I've spoken with people, precinct chairs and stuff. All they did was table it for a future date. And so part of the excuse or it was really a procedural, sleight of hand that they did. They said that neither the Rhino Cornyn or the globalist here have been given the opportunity to come and speak. Well, they don't need to. There's other county chairs, there's other county executive committees that research this. They don't need to give the candidate time to come in. Why? Because he voted. They're censuring him on the vote. They are censuring him on the action. He has spoken. He has spoken about what's he going to do. Reverse the vote? It's too late. It's too late.
He's trying to back, and he continues to talk out of both sides of his neck. In regards to why I support the Border Patrol and I support the Border Patrol agents, and then yet he goes and he votes for chain migration. Yet he continues to support these NGOs, and then he also continues to and he gained support and made a way for these mega processing centers, and then he's also petitioned the Biden administration to fly illegal aliens out of Del Rio and using our tax dollars.
And it's impacting our country. Look, I think across the nation, Manny, people are realizing New York, Washington D.C. But right here close to home, San Antonio, which has long, considered itself as the kingmaker for this region. Well, how are you all folks dealing with that now? I know you're not liking it. There's a lot of complaints. There's a lot of people that are unhappy with the resource center. They call it the Migrant Resource Center, the illegal alien, happy home, whatever you want to call it. They're in San Antonio. It is becoming a blight on the city. It's right next to a neighborhood, Manny, where people are living in fear. There was a lady that was robbed, an elderly lady robbed of her personal belongings at a store in that area. McDonald's, CC's Pizza, the strip malls that are all in there, they are being affected. People are staying out of the area. I was down there a couple of days filming. Bags of trash, like food and stuff. You know what? That's going to be it's going to be a magnet for cats,
Oh my
rats,
God! Well,
vermin, disease.
yeah, people need to come down here and look at the damage that they've done to the riverbanks
Yes.
over here, and even it just tons and tons of clothes. But I've talked with people in San Antonio as well, Frank, that in that area where that center is, people have told me that they no longer go over there to shop. They don't, there's some pretty good taco places over there. Of course, Taco Tuesday, and so we're going to have our tacos here in a little bit. But, a lot of people have told me that they avoid that area because of the break-ins. Or cars have been broken into, things have been stolen, and then talking with property owners down here in this area, they're afraid to leave their properties. They come across illegal aliens. And again, I have to continue to say this. They're not migrants. They're not even illegal migrants. They are legal aliens, folks.
Illegal aliens.
And I'm going to write an article and put that on our website because it gets me upset, bro, that the media continues to call them migrants and they're not migrants.
Well, it's part of the political correct movement. It's part of this desensitizing people to it. If you now you're calling them undocumented guest workers, undocumented non-citizens.
Yeah.
It's watering it down. And look, that's the way that they operate, folks. They water down, bedrock principles. Even a rock with time, even stone with time will erode by the constant drip, erosive, corrosive, constant pattern of lies, of false narratives, of media, of truth mixed in with lies. It will have an effect. It will with time. And so what they've done, Manny, is they have gone after our educational system. They've brainwashed our children. That's why we have a generation of kids. And even look, there's a lot of parents, bro, that are diligent, that stay on their children, that are constantly monitoring, but you can't be with them 24/7.
Yeah.
And so the enemy is sly, he is slick, he is conniving.
Yep.
And the enemy's minions, the enemy's workers, whether human or spirit, run around and they infiltrate our kids' minds. And so that's why, this is part of the border issue is part of a broader socialist globalist agenda, and that it's our families, our children are being attacked on so many different sides. That's why folks talk about we've got to make sure a Democrat doesn't get elected. Dude, you've got a socialist, a globalist in the Republican Party who is pushing their ideology. Their ideology is gun control. That's a slippery slope.
And Tony Gonzalez is all for it.
He voted for that.
Will Hurd was for it as well.
John Cornyn as well.
As
and
well.
then that's why this assault on the Constitution with marriage equality, it is an assault, bro, because what it says is the federal government reigns supreme and the federal government usurps the position, the authority, the role of the states. That's why it's unconstitutional. Marriage equality, same-sex marriage should be a state issue, where the people of the state, debate it.
And we look at the congressman for the next district over, Chip Roy. He voted against it.
Yeah.
But yet this guy, in our district votes for it. And real quick, there's some things I want to touch upon as well, because I got this. You sent me this post over here that I guess Tony Gonzalez had put up on his page, right? That nothing is free. Local governments across the district are being crushed by the financial burden of the Biden border crisis. I have news for you, Tony. You're part of the problem, right? You're one of the reasons why these illegal aliens are coming over here. Right?
That's ridiculous, bro. Nothing is free. Yeah, nothing is free. It's based on taxpayer input. Local governments across the CD are being crushed by the financial burden of the Biden border crisis. Man, look, I'm just going to say it. What a hypocrite, what a liar, and what a clown this congressman is. I honestly don't know, bro, whether he is wickedly, deceitfully, cunning, or if he's just so dense that he does not understand. What did he think was going to happen when we started flying illegal aliens out of Laughlin Air Force Base? What did he think was going to happen when him, Cornyn, Cuellar, and Sinema out of Arizona pushed for mega processing centers to multiply the speed of people being processed and released? What did he think was going to happen? It was going to be a magnet. It was going to be a green light, an enticement for people to come to the border, because the United States government, with idiots like Tony Gonzalez throwing more money at the problem, was only going to make their move their journey north faster, more efficient. Everything the federal government has been doing pertaining to this is not to stop, not to deport. Biden disbanded a child predator unit as one of the first things he came in. Well, it didn't disband it; they postponed it, according to what they said. They're not functioning. They're not going after child sexual predators, and so the actions of this congressman, who is to a great measure responsible for finances, for funding at the federal level, this invasion rests solely, squarely on the shoulders of our globalist George Soros puppet in this district. So the total hypocrisy for him to go and say, it should the locals shouldn't have to deal with this. Well, no, I mean, unbelievable. But look, it's because, Manny, people do not research. People do not dig down. People need to think consequences to decisions. You need to think second, third level, dynamics, consequences that are going to occur. And so that was the thing, when they talked about, pushing these people into the country to release pressure on the border was his excuse. That was Gonzalez's excuse to fly illegal aliens out of Laughlin Air Force Base. Well, we got to release the pressure on the local communities.
Yeah.
I mean, did he not understand that some community somewhere in the United States was going to have to deal with this? And so now he's running around, clucking and bleeding like some sheep about, the cities, the locals should not have to deal with this. San Antonio, you need to wake up. Bexar County, wake up. You have a wolf in the house. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. And he, along with the carnival, the circus of liberal elected officials in San Antonio, are ruining that great city, bro. They're ruining it. They are running it into the ground. They're turning it into what somebody they call it San Frantonio.
Yeah.
After San Francisco.
Yep.
They're turning it into San Frantonio here, folks, right before your eyes. It is becoming a liberal mecca,
Like Austin.
Yep. and you're gonna start seeing. Right now, you're already seeing it. Homelessness, attracting the transients. You're gonna see it right before your eyes. Yep. And the shame of it all is that you have in your ranks in Bexar County a local boy who is ruining the city along with the cast of clowns that are running that city into the ground. Look, I've enjoyed San Antonio. I've got family members there.
I love San Antonio.
It's a good place, but it's rapidly going downhill.
It is going downhill. My daughter and my son-in-law, they lived in a neighborhood over there in San Antonio, and they started seeing an influx of illegal aliens coming into their neighborhood, and next thing you know, my daughter's car got broken into. Her neighbors' cars were getting broken into. Strange people walking around their neighborhoods and homes and apartments getting broken into. They finally had to move out, praise the Lord, and they got to a better neighborhood.
Yeah.
But it didn't start happening until they saw this influx of illegal aliens coming in, and and then talking about like places like New York City and Washington D.C. Now they're calling New York City Freetown, USA. And this is by the liberal side too. They're calling it Freetown, USA. And one of the big reasons, Frank, is because the majority of these illegal aliens that are showing up, actually not the majority, all of them that are showing up are getting free hotel stays, free phones, free library cards, free school supplies, and free medical care. And I got some numbers here in a little bit, but I just was reading yesterday that the illegal aliens are being housed in not like, and I'm not trying to put these businesses down, but not like Motel 6 or Super 8 or anything like that. Brother, they are being housed in luxury hotels at the taxpayer's expense, like the Waldorf Astoria I was reading, a place called the Row. I've always I go to New York City quite often. I've always wanted to stay at the Waldorf Astoria. Never, and the reason I can't.
Not now,
but the reason I can't, brother, is because it's anywhere from $700 to $1,000 per night in that hotel, and other hotels like it that are in that area. But it's been reported in the things that I was reading yesterday that these illegal aliens are staying in places like the Waldorf and the Row, which are luxury hotels, but our homeless veterans, Frank, are still on the streets.
So $40 billion, and it's just part of it, bro. The $40 billion package, it was just part of this. That was got the most attention, the most news coverage, etc. Because everybody fell for the violent, bleeding heart. Ukraine, Russia. Okay, I was in Atkins, Texas, right outside San Antonio, and there was a presenter there that said, whatever happens, folks, within the political sphere has been planned, has been orchestrated. And no doubt that what started taking place in the Ukraine with Russia, etc., yeah, okay, there was a regional conflict over there. That stuff's been going on forever, man. It's been going on even during the Trump, even before. There's been stuff going on, part of the history of that region. But it was seized, capitalized by Pelosi, the socialists, and folks that gave in to the heartstring plucking, playing on emotions.
Of two corrupt
Well, the Ukraine is known, bro. Yeah. It is known, and people don't research that. They start waving the flag, and that's your part of your Facebook, page or whatever. The Ukraine is about as corrupt as you can get. There are other corrupt countries, and no doubt here as well, but they used it to launder vast amounts of money, $40 billion. I was reading, somebody was telling me that they gave themselves raises, bro. The bureaucrats in the Ukraine gave themselves raises
after they received the money, right?
After they received the money, and we gave them $40 billion, but yet they are still asking for our weapons. Yep. They are asking for high technology, ultra technology weapons to go over there. And Gonzalez, the socialist Pelosi puppet, voted for it.
He voted for it, and it was by no coincidence, folks. You got to put two and two together. Look, I feel sorry for the displaced people of Ukraine that are suffering because of this. Like we have
because of politicians.
Yeah, because of politicians. Like over there, we have some Messianic Jewish congregations over there that we're helping out. Because they're displaced because of it all. But because of this corruption, other people are suffering. But it's of no coincidence when you look at what happened before all this happened, Frank. Politicians in office went and visited the Ukraine.
Oh yeah,
Tony Gonzalez included. Right, went and visited the Ukraine. In my opinion, is because they want to make sure that their assets are safe. Right, and I'm not,
Pelosi went over there.
Yeah, Pelosi went over there, and then of course she goes to Taiwan, right, with her son, and then shortly before things start to happen because they want to make sure that their assets aren't in place. Folks, these people, they go into office and they come out richer. And it's just like it's like in the movies, man. All these their monies are tied up, in offshore accounts to make sure that their monies are safe and that this government, the United States government, can't touch it, and yet they continue just to let us suffer
and throw the money at it, man. That's been the response of these globalist, socialist Republicans that are unfortunately that's what you're gonna have to vote for, folks. Yeah. Except in this district, you got a choice in the 23rd congressional district. But that's what they do, man. They run around, they say all the right things, they pluck on people's heartstrings. They make you feel good. It sounds good, but you've got to look at their actions and even their words. Even their words when they talk about immigration reform and they talk about reaching across the aisle. Look, bro, the socialists who control the Democrat Party right now, they don't want to negotiate.
Yeah.
They are going for the jugular, kill. They want to destroy, and if it's kind of like this dog that gets a rabbit, bro. They're gonna in its mouth. They're gonna shake it until there is no life left in the body of the rabbit.
Yep.
And so the socialists that are controlling the Democrat Party right now, they know that they might get impacted by the November races. We'll see how that goes because
we'll see, and we'll see if this student loan relief bill or whatever,
if it helps get people to the vote. But the thing about it, Manny, is that regardless of what happens with that, they know that the American people are waking up. Are they going to wake up fast enough? I don't know. Yeah. In this district, especially, people need to wake up fast. You have an opportunity to make a difference in this district.
Yeah, and that's the thing we have to understand. And folks, I've been watching a lot of the news, and they say that a number of Latinos are growing in number, coming to the Republican side, coming to the conservative side. But this is the thing, folks. This goes beyond party lines. If you're going to vote for if you're going to vote conservatively, just don't go with the Republican. There like Frank, he's a conservative independent, and I pray that there's others,
I hope so.
Along the border, or here in Texas that are independent but they're conservative and they hold to the Republican platform and godly values and righteous values. What we have in office here in Del Rio right now is a representative, Antonio Gonzalez, is a Democrat. That's what he is. He's worse than a rhino. He's a Democrat.
Socialist,
and
really.
socialist and globalist, and you look at his voting record. So my advice to you is just don't vote red. Vet your candidate. Vet your candidate. Look at your candidate. Look at their voting record, or listen. Look at their actions as well. Yeah, and so, but I want to touch upon real quick because before we run out of time. Not only, Frank, are we suffering with this, and I was looking at stats yesterday, there are nearly 5 million illegal aliens that have known, right? 5 million known that have entered into the country since Biden took office in January, or I want to say seized office in January. But anyway, again, Tony Gonzalez believes that Biden was legitimately elected. Anyway, so and then the known gotaways are over 800,000. That's known gotaways, but that's conservatively speaking, because for every legal alien apprehended, 1 to 5 illegal aliens get away or avoid apprehension, right? Yeah. So there could be anywhere from 2 to 3 times that number of illegal aliens in the country. But what I want to touch upon real quick, Frank, is that because of all this, a lot of illegal aliens and drug trafficking is circumventing the normal traffic areas and getting away. So because of that, fentanyl seizures have tripled and increased over 200%. Yeah. Since Biden has taken office.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. Look, people are processing, agents are processing. They can't be out patrolling. But let me tell you something. For my brothers and sisters in green out there, and I served alongside you all for 30 years until I retired December 2018. I could have stayed another 5 years, but it was time to get out. God was calling me. I knew something had to be done. But let me tell you, in this sector, Del Rio sector, Manny, they have been targeted. Yeah. This sector has been targeted, and part of the blame goes to the globalist congressman. So I'm talking to my brothers and sisters in green. I'm talking to those of you that care and love for the people in the front lines, OFO, Office of Field Operations at the ports, Air Marine Operations, the pilots, the vessel commanders, etc. You have been played by this congressman. He slaps the green union, color on his board. People ask me, well, hey, what's this union thing? They bargained for the agents, but the upper echelons of that union do not speak for the rank and file, the boots on the ground, the souls in the boots on the ground. Anyways, what I wanted to say to you all is you need to know that we stand with you. We care for you, but you have been targeted in this sector. Because, Manny, there's other sectors. Yeah. There's other sectors that are not having to deal with what they're doing. Where Del Rio sector became the #1 sector in the nation for illegal entries, for apprehensions. And what that means is the men and women in this sector are suffering.
They're suffering.
They're suffering mental, emotional, psychological, relational damage that is happening to these families. And they're detailing people in from the northern, from other sectors. They're detailing them in. Those families are suffering because of the actions of the Biden administration, the gutless, spineless Mayorkas, the secretary of this organization, the hands. Some would say that Chief Ortiz's hands are tied. Look, man, when you see your men and women struggling, you fight for them. No matter how much your hands are tied, you fight for them, and you do what you can. There's other organizations, bro. Customs and Border Protection entities, OFO and ICE. They can push back on the Biden administration,
and that's what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be doing that. They have those stars on their collar for a reason,
to push back.
To push back, because they are the subject matter experts on border security and the safety and the sovereignty of our country. Plus, we all took an oath from the lowest agent all the way up to the chief. We all took an oath to defend this Constitution and against any enemy, foreign and domestic. And folks, this is an invasion. It fits in that definition of invasion. Yes. What is happening here, because it is affecting the American way of life. I just got sent a headline here real quick. Let me see if it posts up. It says Border Patrol Chief says border crisis a result of Biden's no consequence policies for illegal migrants, and now he says the border crisis is only going to get worse. Well, I have to say something. Finally, you said something, Chief. It's about time. I hope there's a follow through with this.
Hey, Chief, look, God. I mean, I try not to be too harsh on this guy, but my God, trainees in the field knew this. Trainees in the field knew this, and so okay. I'm glad you're pushing back to a certain extent. But the men and women, look, if I'm elected to Congress, brother, I will freaking go out there and be a ferocious lion for y'all. Yeah. And I will be a lion for the American people.
And I believe you would. I believe you would stand shoulder to shoulder with the chief. I believe you stand shoulder to shoulder with the commissioner and say, hey, talking to Congress and letting them know that whatever committees the president. And this is what the chief is supposed to do. He's supposed to sit down in front of the president and say, look, you're wrong about this. You're killing us. You're killing it. You're supposed to sit down in front of the secretary, Mayorkas, and what's the other ones? Magnus. Sit down in front of them and tell them you guys are destroying our country with your open border, no consequence policies. Actually, there's no enforcement of any policy whatsoever, and because of this, people are dying. And not right now, if there's been any like effect of fentanyl going on in this nation, is because it's coming through here. It's coming through this area.
Yeah, and it's bad, Manny. We did go off route there a little bit. Look, everybody knows by now there was a terrible incident that took place in Del Rio a couple of nights ago. Some people out there hanging out, partying. I'm not going to cast aspersions on that. But what I'm saying is, it turns out that there was fentanyl involved. Yeah. Some kind of one of the stuff that they were using was laced. This is so dangerous, Manny. This I remember when I was started getting the training, the Narcan training. Yeah. I mean, I know you were there. You left a year or two after I did. They were terrified of how dangerous fentanyl was. Yep. I saw somebody post about how they're making this terrifying drug look like candy right before. Oh my God! Right before Halloween, brother. Right before the kids are going to be out on the street. And a lot of this has to do, somebody say, well, don't politicize this. Look, folks, politicians are making decisions every day that affect every aspect of your life. That is the same fatalistic, same ostrich head in the sand thinking, oh, well, if we just ignore the problem, it's going to go away. This is political. Because the decisions that these elected officials are making, these bureaucrats, this deep state entrenched senior executives, series officials, and bureaucrats that, they took the oath as a matter of, okay, I got to do this, whatever. Where do I sign for my insurance? Where do I sign for my freaking health coverage or whatever?
100% retirement,
Yeah, whatever. Some of them went through that, just by rote, just, okay, whatever, tell me, parrot, whatever. But there are people that believe that. They believe that oath. But anyways, the ones that are disregarding it, Manny, they are complicit with this. And there is blood on their hands. And so here in this sector, guys, Del Rio sector, the congressman that is supposed to be watching out for you did everything he could to make this pipeline bigger, flying illegal aliens out, advocating for more processing centers, pushing for you to get vaxxed. Him and Cornyn push for the vaccine to be more readily made available to Border Patrol agents. You have got a traitor, guys and girls.
And to remove military members if they didn't.
And did voted for the vaccine database. You've got a guy here who has done nothing but backstab you. Backstab Trump, backstab the American people, backstab the party, backstab the platform, the principles, the Constitution, the Word of God, backstabbing, wearing your cap, running around in front of cameras like he earned it, slapping the green and yellow, our colors, on his billboards, using fake Border Patrol agents for TV commercials. And it was investigated by Customs and Border Protection. It was investigated. This guy is shameless. He's feckless. Does not have a moral spine and doesn't have a moral bone in his body. And he's running around acting like now he cares about the border when ever since he got elected, everything he has done has been to open up that pipeline bigger.
It's sad to say he's pulled the wool over the union's eyes, but I know that I've been talking to a lot of agents, Frank, a lot of boots on the ground, and they do not support this guy, and praise the Lord they don't. And I hope that when they go to the polls here in District 23, they vote you in above him, but folks, as we're getting close on time, where does all this lead, folks? I was asking myself this question yesterday, and as we look at everything what's happening, Frank, all of this leads and Tony Gonzalez voted for it, and sad to say, Myra Flores voted for it as well. This chain migration bill that all it leads to is amnesty, you know, so that and what these Democrats in power are looking for is to bring, you know, people into to control and to vote for them. And now there's a new program, Frank, that we looked at, this document that has come out that the Biden administration plans to give illegal aliens ID cards, called the Secure Docket Card Program, and to give them ID cards to assist them with non-citizen compliance. They say it's to monitor them, but it's not to monitor them. It's to actually help them receive benefits.
It's to give. It's kind of like an EBT card. And look, folks, you say something, and I know you kind of, you know, I understand. But look, whenever people are endorsed, you know, whenever you have a candidate that is endorsed by a person or by an organization, you need to look at who that organization is. Who is this person endorsing the candidate? Because there's going to be strings attached. Because that candidate, when they accept that endorsement, they say, hey, hooray, I've been endorsed by whoever.
I scratch your back, then you got to scratch mine.
Okay, well, that means you agree. The candidate agrees with their agenda. And so when I saw the Americans for Prosperity, part of the Koch PAC, the K-O-C-H, the Koch brothers out of New York, who pushed the Americans for Prosperity, the Libre Initiative, open borders, folks, amnesty groups.
In bed with the Clintons, yeah.
And so when I saw them running around endorsing people, pushing my opponent in this district, it tells you who they are. And so there is no surprise, at least for me, Manny, when they go vote for chain migration, when they go vote, you know, creating a new class of amnesty recipients. Look, folks, that's why you need to research. You need to spend some time. And that's why I kind of cringe, man, when I see people, you know, come up with the mantras, you know, keep it red, it's like, dude, please.
Yeah. And look, I'm you know, not everybody's going to get it right. I mean, you know, 100% of the time. But folks, I believe we need people in there like Frank who will investigate, you know, every bill that comes, or every,
as much as humanly possible, bro.
As humanly possible,
because they come up with these freaking stacks of legislation. It's like, what the heck?
But I know one thing's for certain: you'll probably vote in person rather than like Tony Gonzalez who votes by proxy.
He used a proxy form that is basically it refers to COVID-8, you know, because of COVID protocols. I can't come in. As he jet sets across, around the world. Actually, I think that part of his proxy voting took place while he was down in Central America. You know, down there, and God only knows what he was up to down there, because it certainly wasn't to push on those governments to keep people out of their countries. No, everybody's just allowing come up through the Panama Canal, and every other nation that's affected by that, Guatemala, Honduras. You know, Nicaragua, they're affected by whatever comes across that Panama Canal. So I have no doubt down there, it wasn't in the interest of the American people. He can say all he wants to say about it. His actions speak louder than words. And so, folks, I know we've talked a lot about this, but this fentanyl thing that's sweeping across our country, we don't talk about that as much, Manny, and we don't talk about the effect on children and women that are being trafficked. Up in Pecos, they're fixing Pecos County. I've been up there. You've seen me at the Endeavors facility. Tony Gonzalez, home away from home, Endeavors. I was up there filming. It's a child facility. Well, one just closed in Midland. An Endeavors facility closed in Midland. And so Pecos, the mayor out there is screaming, send them our way. It turns out, it turns out that there's benefit to be paid from that. But anyways, Endeavors wants those children, bro.
Wow.
And they want to increase the capacity at Pecos, their facility, up to 5,000 children. The Biden administration, I just read it this morning, they want to be able to hold 18,000 people, children in custody. They're building a facility in the Carolinas that's going to hold 5,000. They want Pecos here to hold 5,000 as well. We got the facility down there in Carrizo Springs. So look, folks.
I'm sorry. I cringe at this, Frank, because it sounds like child trafficking. You know, to me, all this.
Well, they're releasing them to not fully vetted sponsors, bro. Yeah. There's such a demand. There's so many kids, and there's such a demand that they are releasing them to
Unvetted
fully
adults, yeah.
vaccinated, vetted sponsors, and God only knows, man. This is like, it's like candy in a candy store for a sugar freak,
Yeah,
bro.
and what's amazing, Frank, is that early on, Tony Gonzalez said that he wanted these mega processing centers in order to help keep track of these children. But I received reports over and over again from my sources, Frank, that these children are being released to unvetted adults, and sometimes, the majority of times, they don't even know if they're family members.
Yeah.
And so, folks, this is serious business, because look at how they're going after our children. Look what's happening in the schools with all this, grooming. With these story time from these drag queens and all these sex education, supposedly sex education classes happening in elementary schools, and then introducing pornography to our children, and going, folks, the enemy is the adversary is going after our enemy, and going after our children, and folks, this nation is letting it happen.
So let me tell you something about that, Manny. We've got this argument going on. This division within the body. That people want to aid and abet. You got these folks that come down. Earlier this year, I filmed this summer youth groups coming down to help at our local non-government organization here.
The human trafficking organization.
The human trafficking organization. And so think about this, Manny. These are children, regardless of nationality. Yeah. They are children, regardless of immigration status. They are children. And so they are aiding and abetting in the trafficking of these children by their own admission. The federal government says they lose track of these kids.
They lose track of them.
The last number I heard, and it needs to be found and updated somewhere, is 40% of these kids were disappearing. They just don't know what happens to them once they've released them. And so it is immoral. It is evil. It is evil to allow this to continue happening, Manny. Families are being disbanded. Families are being broken up. A lot of people are being lied to, saying, "Hey, give our kids over to us. We are going to send your kids to America. Give them over to us. They're going to lead a better life in America." There was a report. There was an uproar that went up here a couple of days ago. Sarah Carter, who usually reports with Fox News, sat down with a coyote, sat down with a cartel member who says, "Yeah, we are. These kids are being used for organ harvesting.
Yeah.
These kids, we're selling their body parts." And so part of this, folks, you got to think big picture here. Well, they're coming. They're going to be here. When you have people that are advocating, enticing, encouraging, being magnets to pull, to attract these people, you are aiding and abetting that process. There is a reason that God has made borders. Yes. There is a reason that we have walls and doors to our house.
Yeah. And the sad thing is, Frank, is that a lot of these NGO directors, like the one we have here in Del Rio, the Humanitarian Border Coalition, they are not humanitarians, folks. They are helping the cartels make money. They are helping the cartels traffic children. And it's getting worse and worse, folks. And it breaks my heart, Frank.
So let me tell you this, Manny. So think about this, guys. So these kids are coming in right off the bat. Our communities, our border communities, our local communities. For instance, I'm thinking about Carrizo Springs. A lot of the teachers left the local school district to go teach at these facilities because they were being paid more by the federal government to go teach over there under contracts. We're under contracts. And so the local schools started suffering. But let me tell you, you think that the Biden administration, the socialists that are in charge of it, are going to let these juicy minds go to waste? They're not. No. They're not. They're going to push their demonic indoctrination, their ideology into their heads. And so look, folks, at some point or another, we got to say, what does God say about this? Yeah. What does the Lord say about this?
And you wonder how all this can happen. Of course, the Scripture tells us that the God of this world, the influence of Satan, is blinded the minds of people here in this world, the minds of unbelievers. And we see that. I mean, they know what they're doing. And Frank, you and I were in the Border Patrol long enough where we've helped rescue children. I've found children in stash houses. I've found abandoned children out in the brush. We've rescued children from human sex trafficking and human trafficking and then. Back then, it wasn't as we knew it was happening,
yeah.
and it wasn't
as prolific.
But it wasn't as prolific, and it wasn't overt like it is now. This is overtly happening before our eyes, Frank.
Yeah, so at some point or another, it becomes more than just a border sovereignty issue. It becomes an issue of life is being impacted. We have children and women that are being trafficked. We have people, Americans, many of them are young people dying from the fentanyl and the drugs that are crossing over this border, enslaving Americans, killing Americans, destroying human life. The border is critical to so many elements of this, Manny, and that's why it is so immoral. It is downright evil for our elected officials to have been a part of this, to not stop it, to not fully enact. Look, man, when your house is on fire, Manny, when the house is burning down, you don't care if it is the freaking latest super pumper that's going to show up with a gazillion gallons of tank, or whether it's a bucket brigade. You want that house fire put out. And all that our elected officials have done is throw more gas in the fire. Instead of trying to put it out, they're just kicking the can down the road. They're throwing more money at the problem. It's federal money, and to a certain extent, our state money is really being thrown at this, and it's leaving the cities and the counties to pick up the slack using the local finances, the local money to deal with these issues being created by the federal government and by useless elected clowns like Tony Gonzalez in this district.
Yeah, and folks, it's only going to get worse if we don't get good people, righteous people in there, folks. And also, I just want to send a word out to religious leaders, to clergy, that I pray that you see this, or that somebody shares it with you. Look, if you are helping out or receiving monies from the government, helping out these NGOs, stop it. I'm telling you, because you're not doing anybody any good. It is you're taking part in human trafficking, sex trafficking. It is not benefiting the illegal alien humanitarianly in any way or form.
Yeah, and so look, man, I've used this analogy a lot of times with people. Look, you've got a house, you've got your own stock of supplies, your own food in the pantry, food in the fridge. And you can help out your neighbor every once in a while whenever they need help, because they're down in their on their resources or whatever. But when the neighborhood says, well, you know what, Frank and Manny got more food than we do, we're going to go live over in their house. How long do you think that's going to last?
Yeah.
How long is that going to last? It's not conceivable. It's not feasible to think that this is going to go long term. And so the gospel, folks say, well, we got to bring him in. We got to bring him in and teach him. While we have the chance. Look, that's what the purpose of missionaries is for. And we've been pouring, millions of dollars overseas, billions of dollars overseas, outside these borders. America.
And I'm going to tell. I'm sorry, Frank, but I'm going to tell you just something that just came to mind is that we have reports of orphanages even in Mexico. Christian orphanages in Mexico that were helping raise kids in teaching them the gospel, but they're getting pushed out with all these other illegal from these children that come from other countries, and then they're just being housed for a certain amount of time, and then they're getting pushed here to the United States, and so it's affecting even organizations on the other side, Frank, that are trying to bring children up the right way.
Yeah, it's multifaceted, certainly, and I know we spoke about a couple of things. There's a lot of issues we could talk about. Once again, tragedy has come to our community here in Del Rio. It's sad. It's sad. But to say, don't politicize it. Look, it's not about political, gain here. It's about reality.
The reality.
If you want to deal with problems, you have got to address them. And you got to recognize you got a problem. Once you recognize it, you want to address it, you can come up with solutions. And one of the solutions is securing that border. That's one of the solutions there. The other solution, of course, it's going to be spiritual. It's going to be societal. It's going to be a community-wide effort, yet to a certain extent. A lot of it, Manny, is part of because of what the enemy has been doing, trying to destroy us people created in the image of God, trying to destroy the family, which God instituted. God ordained the family. And that's why the attacks on marriage, the attacks on family, the attacks on the offspring of those marriages has been so relentless, has been so evil. It's been going on forever, ever since the garden. And to have elected officials, man, that don't have either the sense, don't have the, can't grasp that contact.
Intestinal
the
fortitude.
yeah, can't grasp that, or are so weak, or are really so sold out, so evil that they are actually aiding and abetting that. And that's why this anti-constitutional vote for marriage equality, bro, that's why it is inherently evil.
It is inherently evil.
Because it attacks the family as created by God.
And so, folks, as we begin to close, as we begin to wind down, we want to thank you so much for hearing us out this morning and joining us this morning. God willing, we'll be here next week to talk about more stuff. Email us, contact us. Things that we want to talk about. The things if you want us to try to find out some information, we appreciate that. We do have a website, tacoboutitlive.com. You can email us there at tacoboutitlive@gmail.com and go visit us. Download the podcast, download the video. If you want to show it to folks or share it later, hopefully we posting some articles as well. Folks, again, if you want to help support Frank, you can go to his website here at frank4cd23.com. Get to know him. Throw some support his way. We need a righteous people in office. I believe Frank is righteous. I believe he's going to do the job necessary for the American people. America first is who he's fighting for, folks. Of course, lifting up God above all. But folks, we need a person in there who's going to fight for the American people. And what we've seen from this administration, what we've seen from this representative that we have here in District 23. And I'm not just saying this just to build make your head bigger or anything like that, Frank. But this guy has done nothing. And of course, that if I saw anything, I'd call it out right away. And I believe that I believe you're a righteous man, and I believe you're going to do the job. And Frank, you got my vote, brother. And but folks, we just want to encourage you that one big way to help fight all this as well as the main way is to put your faith and trust in our Lord and Savior, Yeshua, right? And then also spread it to your family, help get your kids into the kingdom. Sit down with your children, pray with your children, come together as families and bring God into your home, and then educate yourselves. Vet candidates, vet them, look at their history, their voting record, what they do. Actions speak louder than words. And folks, this goes beyond party lines. This is about good versus evil. We have people dying, and into the families here in Del Rio that have recently suffered losses because of all this that is happening in regards to the fentanyl. My condolences, to you, and I feel for you, and we're praying for our community, and we're praying for you as well.
Yeah, bro. Actually, one of those persons that died, Manny. We've known her ever since she was a little girl, bro.
Man.
Yeah. Over at Jesus Loves You Church, right back here behind this building.
Yeah, right over here.
That's where my wife and I were attending even before we got married, and that's where I got my ministerial license there at Jesus Loves You Biblical Institute, and we knew the family. I remember her ever since she was a little girl, and so to see what happened, leaving behind 4 kids, that's a hard thing, man. That's a hard thing. Not just our prayers. I know that some people are already reaching out to go help, and so that's a good thing, and definitely we need to participate in that, and help out as much as possible. It's unfortunate sometimes, Manny, that the ones that are most impacted by this are the ones that are left behind.
Yeah,
they're the ones that have to deal with this for the rest of their lives, and make their way through that. And that's why the drug crisis, the addiction epidemic in our country, it's terrible. It's demonic. Yeah. It's demonic. It destroys life, and that's why with every ounce of our fiber, of our being, we have to fight against this. And so that's why it's terrible, bro, that those that have been entrusted with great positions of responsibility to guard the cities, to guard the walls, are so corrupt that they're allowing this to happen, man.
Yep. And as a rabbi, as a spiritual leader, as a congregational leader, as a believer, I'm not here to cast dispersion on anybody's struggles, addictions, or anything like that. We're all human, we're all fallible. But I want to encourage, clergy or anybody that's watching, any spiritual leader, please talk to your congregation about these things, about what's happening, even politically, and then help people get help. Get resources there, in your congregation, or get some numbers, to help people get help. And so, again, our condolences to the families here.
Yeah.
You know, in Del Rio, we're praying for you. We're praying for the community.
Yeah.
And folks, we just want to let you know that, you know, God is above the flood. You know, but our prayers are with you.
Yeah, bro, and I'll tell you, man. For those clergy that if you approach your clergy and they give you their answer of, well, you know, it's politics, we're not supposed to get involved in politics.
Yeah.
Remind them about David, remind them about Joseph, remind them about Esther and
About Daniel, even Messiah.
the book of Judges, and of course about our returning king, the king, which is a political title, which is a, you know, governance title. Just remind them of it, and don't be afraid. Look, I've always said this, Manny. If you tithe, if you offer to a gathering, assembly, a congregation, a synagogue, etc., you have every right as a good steward of what God has given you
Yeah.
to go question the use of it.
Yep.
You have that.
Yep.
It's your responsibility.
Yeah, it's your responsibility, and we have every right to get involved in civic organizations, you know, civic concerns, you know, that affect the community. You know, we're supposed to be a city upon a hill, you know, a city upon a hill shining brightly, you know, a beacon of hope to everybody. But we can't just, you know, put ourselves under a bed and let our, you know, our candle only shine for ourselves, folks. This is why the Messiah came, you know, to save the lost, and then he uses us, his body, to do that. You know, so folks, again, we want to say thank you so much for joining us here this morning. You know, Talk About It Live with Frank and Manny. God willing, we'll be here next week. Talk About It Live on Taco Tuesday. So until then, we want to say God bless you. God bless.
And real quick, tonight I will be in Carrizo Springs. Go visit in Carrizo Springs tonight, 6:30. I'll be down there at Amigos in Carrizo Springs. Tell your friends, neighbors in that Dimmitt County, Crystal City, Eagle Pass area, Cheto, Asherton. I want to see y'all at Video, Crystal City. Anyways, I want to see y'all over there. Please show up tonight. Don't let the rain deter you. Don't let don't let yourself get deterred. Let's go have a good time of fellowship, fellow patriots, fellow Texans.
Amen. And again, God bless you. God bless America, and God bless Texas.